welcome, 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 everybody. Russ, are you there?
I am. Hello, everybody. Good evening.
I'm not sure you know if you're there.
Sorry?
I said, I don't know if you know you're there. Do you know you're here?
No,
You don't know you're here?
I can't see it yet.
You can't see that we're here, but we are here.
I do
See?
not see.
It shows it right there, Russ. We are here, and we
We
are
are here.
broadcasting, and we are live once again. And by the way, folks, welcome so much. My name is Kimberly Mann, and this is my lovely, gorgeous husband with a beard.
Who are you talking about?
You, Russell Mann. And we are really pleased to have you here this evening. We have a really interesting conversation, and we kind of talked about it a little bit before. But quite frankly, one of the things Russ and I were talking about today was I was asking him about certain aspects of our video and things like that. Did you already put it up in the chat? Because you're not talking to me.
I am actually trying to get
All right, we're just all going to sit,
Facebook going.
and we're going to
Have patience with me.
Why do you need Facebook going? You shouldn't have Facebook going at all.
I like to watch it
No.
because I can monitor it.
No.
Why?
Because you're not supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to be having a conversation with me. Well, this starts us off really well tonight, folks, since our topic tonight is all about
Patience.
and whether
And not the hospital kind.
no, not the hospital kind. Oof, I've got a jaw thing going on. I don't know what it is. All of a sudden, my jaw just snapped and cracked. Ooh, I might become the hospital kind,
Yeah.
kind of patient. So yes, not the hospital kind, but patience. And does it have any part in a real estate transaction?
Plenty.
Well, but sometimes patience isn't always your friend either. So it kind of
No.
depends.
Yeah.
So,
There's a time and a place for
well, see, there are sometimes
softly,
when customers
softly having patience.
there are some times when customers should have patience, and there are other times when customers should not be patient.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times when we should be patient, and there are other times when we should not.
When we have to turn around and say, no,
Yeah, no.
you've had enough time.
Yeah,
We need to get on
go.
with it.
Yes, go away, goodbye, bye-bye, etc.
Or it's during a transaction. It's a case of saying, we're not getting information from a lender or we're not getting information from the other agent. Then
Which I'm in one right now.
we'll have patience to begin with, but then we have to turn into Mama and Papa Bear for our clients sometimes.
Yeah, I've been called Mama Bear before.
Yeah.
You aren't really called Papa Bear too much. I think mostly because it has to do with our demeanor. So, patience. Russ, when do you find that it is really important for customers to be patient? What do you think is a good time for customers to be patient?
Sometimes when, they're eager, they've put in an offer on a property and they want to know the response like yesterday. You have to be patient because that was in the offer when the other people had to respond by.
Mm-hmm.
Other times it could be we're not finding the right house.
Well, so here's a time when I think somebody shouldn't necessarily be patient as a customer. Because I actually picked up my very first customer was a very patient person, and he was actually a little bit too patient.
Mm-hmm.
Because the agent that he was working with, he put in an offer on a property, and it wasn't that he was working with this agent per se. An agent wrote an offer for him. He didn't have buyer agency with them. He wasn't hadn't signed a contract. At least that's what he told me. But he had put an offer in on a property, and 3 days later, he finally called the agent and said, hey, what's happening with this offer? And the agent goes, oh yeah, they rejected that 2 days ago.
And he didn't think to tell him.
You know what the funny thing about it was? Is that he actually turned to me when I first met him, told me that story, and said to me, so is that how it normally works?
No.
Yeah, it's really hard to answer that question because we do have an ethical code we have to follow. We are not allowed to talk badly about other agents, and other agents can't talk badly about us, and we don't.
Yeah.
And I will say, I didn't know who the agent was that did this. And I oftentimes will tell people, if you have something bad to say about an agent, please don't tell me who it is. Because I don't want to know. because it makes it a lot easier for me to maintain my ethical standards
Yeah.
if I don't know who it is. Because I don't have to talk to whoever that agent is. I can just talk about whether that is standard practice or whether that is good practice or best practice or not. And in his case, of course, I said, well, it doesn't seem like it, but I don't know all the details. I don't know if you, because if he had a binding acceptance date that was 3 days in, then yeah, he should wait the 3 days. And back then there were times when you put in binding acceptance for 2 to 3 days. So,
Yeah.
you know, but, so what's going on that's gotten your attention on your computer?
I'm just checking to see if we've got anybody out there.
Well, it doesn't really matter if we have anybody out there or not, because this is a conversation with you and me. The only thing you have to check for is whether somebody has something to say. Has anybody something to say right now?
Nope.
Okay, well then
Not yet.
I do, so listen to me. I'm not exhibiting much patience tonight,
No,
apparently.
you're not.
No, I'm not. And that is why in some situations we send Russ in, because why?
Because I'm nice.
And I'm not?
Yeah.
Are you saying I'm not nice then? Is that what you're saying? That
You
you're
can
nice
be
and
tough.
I'm not?
You're a tough cookie.
Well, but sometimes that's really good, because actually that's where some of my patience comes
When
in.
it comes down to good cop, bad cop, I know which one I am.
The bad cop.
No.
Because you suck at certain things. Oh, but I will say this, when it comes to negotiations on listings, I have all the patience in the world.
Yeah.
I will sit back. I will wait. When my seller has the right to cure, then I don't feel a rush, because you want to give a notice? Go ahead, give a notice. We'll see what happens. And I will say, some of my clients are not as patient as I am.
It's one of
They
the
get a little
hardest-
panicky.
One of the hardest things is during negotiation or even at a listing appointment is being patient when, give them a chance to answer. Go quiet.
Well, I do better with that.
speak. Yeah.
I do a lot better with that at listing appointments anyway. I'm fine with that
Uh-huh.
now. But because I'm pretty good
There's
at
always
listening.
that urge to jump in because of the silence.
I would say
but-
newer agents especially, they are
patient.
very uncomfortable with silence.
Yeah.
And they just want to jump in because the silence bothers them. But sometimes that being patient is what gives you that space. And sometimes it gives your client the space they need
To think and then
to think.
make a decision. Yeah.
And then they recognize that what you're saying is truth, and that's a good thing.
Thought
Because
my hair was all lumpy then, but it was my
Oh.
my
it
headphones
was the
behind
headphones
me.
that were
yeah.
sitting behind you,
Yeah.
and you have to move them so it doesn't
I
make
mean,
your
my hair is lumpy, but not
So-
as lumpy.
Okay,
as
so
that.
one time in which we should be patient is so when it comes to me working with customers, oh my goodness, I have such an itch on my nose. It's crazy right now. All right. When it comes to working with customers, sometimes customers can be very impatient.
Yes.
How do you deal with that when a customer is really impatient and really pushing and really... Now, admittedly, we don't have a lot of customers like that anymore, partly because when people come to work with us, they kind of already know us,
We tend to
and they know our
vet-
personalities,
vet
and they know
that,
they can trust
yeah.
us. But when you do have somebody like brand new, maybe somebody who called in over the phone that's never really met you, doesn't know anything about us, what do you find, what do you do when you see that a customer is really impatient? Like they call up and they say, I want to see these houses right now, tonight. You have no relationship, you have no buyer agency, you have no, like they want to see like 4 or 5 houses and they just phone up on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know them, you have no relationship with them, what is your typical response to that?
Let's schedule a connection meeting
Yeah. And why is that?
because you very quickly see whether they're serious or not.
Right.
Because you would turn around to them and say, "Do you have pre-approval?"
Mm-hmm.
If they have pre-approval, can you bring that along with to the connection meeting?
And if they don't have
if
pre-approval,
they
it doesn't
don't
mean
have
that we're...
it, that's not a problem.
It doesn't mean we're not going to work with them just
No,
because they don't have pre-approval the
course
first
not.
time they call us.
No, but if they don't have one, do you need a lender?
And if
Because we
so-
have great lenders that we know that we can hook you up with.
And if so, who are we going to hook them up with?
Yeah.
Because who's the best fit for
And
them?
that comes down to hearing their story, seeing what their financial situation is,
Yep.
seeing what they're looking for in a house,
And
to
having
see
the
if it's even
patience
viable.
Having the patience to listen to them
Yeah.
as well, and really listen well, is a really core component of that buyer connection meeting.
That is the crux of the buyer connection meeting is getting to know them and their story.
Okay, but let me just state this truly and honestly, because I think people don't understand that agents who have been in the business a while, like you're myself and my, like, you know, we're veteran agents in that we've both been in the business more than 5 years. I'm almost on 10 years now. I mean, I'm going on my 10th year, finishing that up. And agents like us who are, you know, heading 5 and 10 years or more in this business, when we sit down for those meetings, customers sometimes think it's all about whether they want to pick us,
Yeah.
but it's
And
not.
it's not. And we actually say that at the connection meeting. It's to see if we're both a good fit. Because if the client isn't a good fit to our personality, then
and it's
why
not about
waste our
them,
time?
It's not about them having to do things, but if they don't recognize that we are the professionals,
Yeah.
that we're the ones with the knowledge, if they try to get impatient and push their, like, well, I've never done it that way before. Okay, but how long has it been since you bought a house? Or how long has it been since
Yeah.
you sold a house? Oh, it's been 10 years. Guess what? Things have changed a little bit. I mean, the entire lending industry has changed in the last 10
Yes.
years.
Yeah. Things are changing constantly.
In real estate especially.
Yeah.
Documents. The real estate condition report changed dramatically about, what was
Yeah.
that, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
2-3 years ago?
We now have FIRPTA and stuff like that.
So since I've been in real estate, so let's just talk about the things since I've been in real estate, what has changed? The entire listing contract has changed.
Yeah.
The entire buyer agency contract has changed. The mandatory disclosure document has changed.
Yep.
The radon, like where that is in an offer, has changed, whether it is or isn't, and where it's placed in an offer, etc. Addendum AC, while it technically existed, was hardly ever used 10 years. Like, I didn't even know about it 10 years ago when I first started in real estate.
Yeah.
So that was, that's
it's
something,
something I use
and now
all
it's
the
something
time.
we use all the time, and
Yeah.
I see it often from other agents, even as a listing agent.
But even when I started using it, I think I was the only person, because I had never seen it before.
Right. So
and
addendum
nobody
AC.
else had used
so
it.
FIRPTA has changed. So sorry, we were on addendum AC. FIRPTA is something new that's come in.
The DS has changed.
The appendix DS. Electronic consent has changed because it used to have to do this addendum D to contracts and stuff like this, and now that's all gone away, and there's other procedures in place. There was the other thing. Oh, for goodness sake, TRID.
TRID
Didn't exist when I first started.
No.
It was just before you started, wasn't it? I think it was the year
No,
before.
it came in while
Your
I
first
was
year?
working. Yeah.
Okay, was it your first year or was it the year you were
First
working
or
for
second
me?
year.
I think it might have been before you technically had your license, when you were working for me, waiting to get all your paperwork together.
I don't know.
think it
I
was that
know
fall.
I was over here when it came in.
Right, but it was either that like before you got your license or that first year you
No,
had your
I
license.
think it was just after I got
Right.
my license.
So TRID, FIRPTA, Addendum D, the radon, I mean, all these things have changed just in the last 10 years. And
Yep.
Zillow, okay, did it exist 10 years ago? Yeah, but it was not what it is now. Now Zillow not only, okay, so this is what's interesting. Zillow is no longer just a marketing entity, which is what it was 10 years ago. Zillow
Yeah.
is now a brokerage in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So now they have to follow
We
brokerage
can't
rules.
badmouth them
No,
anymore.
it's not about that. It's not about bad mouthing them. They have to follow brokerage rules and MLS rules.
Mm-hmm.
So before, none of my listings went on Zillow because it was a marketing entity, and they wouldn't let me put my listings on Zillow or feature them unless I paid them. Now, because they are a brokerage, they have to put all the
Because
listings
they're part of our
they're
MLS.
part of our MLS. So because they're a brokerage in Wisconsin and they're part of our MLS, now they have to
show
put all,
everybody's,
and
yeah.
they have to highlight that I'm the listing agent on it. They cannot put another agent above me, which has kind of caused a little bit of furor for these agents who were what they called premier agents.
Yeah.
The agents who are paying them thousands of dollars a month to be featured on their
Yep.
websites. All of a sudden now, successful agents like myself don't pay for it, and we're still there and have to be featured under the MLS rules. So even Zillow has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
And Trulia must have had to change as well, because Trulia is owned by Zillow,
Yes.
which makes them part of that brokerage entity of it. Ooh, I wonder if they disclose that, because I know at Shore West we have to disclose that. Anyway, all these different things have changed, and understanding them, taking the time, having the patience to learn all this different stuff
Yeah.
is essential to this job. Super, super essential. And
It is. Yeah.
customers who don't understand that they need to have, not that they have to have some patience with us, it's actually more about, I want to see in my customers, I want to see that they have enough patience to understand and trust in my abilities if I'm going to take them on as a
some
as a
people
client.
don't want to come in for a connection meeting, which in those cases generally they're not that serious,
And we don't end up working with them if they don't do a
No.
connection meeting.
because we have to be able to have that connection meeting. It saves a ton of time later on.
Yep.
We find out exactly what they're looking for.
Now, the only exception to that is if it's somebody who we've worked with previously,
Yeah.
and we already know their situation, and maybe we've been talking to them on Facebook for a long time,
Yes.
and they've been ramping up to buying or whatever, and we've already got all their
Yeah.
stuff in place.
Previous clients or
But even still,
people that we know.
previous clients, you still have them come in for a quick connection meeting.
Yeah, it
because we
doesn't
want
take
that-
it take probably 10 minutes because we already have
Correct.
all their details.
Correct.
Which is one of the things
we
in
get. Mhm.
connection meeting. And
more about
generally, if
finding out
we've
what they
worked
want.
with them before, they know a lender.
Yep.
We always ask them, well, do you want to stay with that lender that you used last time?
Or maybe
do
that
you want
lender's
us
out of
to-"
business, because
Yeah.
some of them are.
Yeah. Some of them have moved on to other companies.
Yep.
You know, do you...
Some of them are out of business entirely.
Yeah, or we can provide you with another lender.
Yep, exactly.
And, you know, because all lenders, they're
Are
not the
equal.
same.
Yep, all lenders are not equal. So
No.
the thing is, but when a buyer we've worked with previously comes back and says, okay, I'm ready to sell my house and buy the next house, which is what we do primarily, actually.
Yes.
We work
Yeah.
primarily with upsizing families, families who are moving up in space because they need more
Yeah.
space for their family, for themselves, etc. That is like the core crux and our specialty in this business. And, you know, we have to have patience in that. But honestly, I don't even see it as patience. Because when you're working with families, you do have to have some patience because there's always kids involved.
Yes.
And
Love
some
the
people,
kids.
and the funny thing is, some people look at me and they'll say things like, "Oh, how can you stand having the kids there during the showings?" And you've got some really cool things.
Some
the kids
some
have to have some
agents
patience.
will demand that the children don't attend the
No,
showings.
we don't encourage kids to attend because it makes parents nervous. If you're in somebody else's house and the
Yeah.
kids are wanting to touch stuff,
Yeah.
it's hard because mom and dad aren't focusing on the house.
Yeah.
They're having to focus on the kids.
No,
But-
I always take the kids to one side when
Yep.
we're going in any house,
Yep.
and there are rules on
Yep.
showings.
Yep.
The rule is, if it's an occupied house, so someone's still living there,
Yep.
they have to stay with us.
Right.
We all have to stick together. No one
Yep.
goes running off,
Yep.
and then I get the kids to turn the lights on as we get to the rooms.
Right.
If it's a vacant house and no one's living there, so there's no furniture or anything like that, then I will let them explore. I will let them go off
As long
and
as they
turn
stay
all the
within-
lights on, as long as they stay on the same floor.
Right. Where
As
you can
us.
still see them
Yes.
pretty much. Basically, you stand in a location
They
where
can
you
go
can
into
still-
the kitchen if we're in the living room,
Right.
or etc.
Right.
And they can go and turn the lights on for me.
And then come right back. Because
And
we
then
also
they
don't
come
want
back.
them to get into any
No.
kind of danger or anything. Right. So, I mean, you've got
but
ways
the
to
kids
engage the kids.
respect that.
But there's also other things we've done with parents. I mean, I think back to that young couple that we helped buy that house in Sturtevant. Oh my goodness. I hate it when I can't remember a customer's name when they're like really awesome customers. But they had 2 little kids and they did not
Oh,
have
I
any
know.
family.
Marco.
Yeah, Marco. Yes.
And Nico.
Nicole and Marco. They did not have any babysitters and they didn't have any family in the area
No.
to watch the kids. So the kids had to come. And what we found to be effective was Mom and Dad went inside with you,
Yep.
and I sat out in the car on my iPad.
On your
and
iPad.
We watched
Pulled up videos and
we watched
stuff like
Dora
that.
the Explorer and
Yeah.
all sorts of fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
so
So yeah, you was like a little a babysitter for
the other
the
technique
10
that
minutes, 15 minutes we was in the house.
So the other technique that you've used, I know, or that we've used or seen used as well, is where you'll go into the house with one parent,
Yes.
and then the other parent stays out in the car. Because if I can't be there, that's not always something I can do.
Yeah, we do
parent
one
stays
at
in
a
the-
time.
Yep, one parent stays in the car, and then the other parent goes in, and then they tag team each other. So the second parent goes in, and then the other one stays in the
Yeah.
car with the kids. Because we find that it's easier when the kids are contained in their car seats, they've got a book or the toy, it's something familiar.
Yep.
When they're in strange places, kids love to explore, and that is normal.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
that's
very
normal for
normal, and you know,
And
one
kids
of
don't
the
have
biggest
patience.
things, they'll go into, you know, they're looking around the house and someone's still living there, and they go into a kid's bedroom where the kids got all their toys.
Oh, I have that toy.
Yeah, let's start playing.
Yeah, they think it's like their own
Yeah.
bedroom or something.
Uh-huh.
So
So they're all ready to start playing with it.
yeah.
So
Or they see a toy
you
that
have
they
to-
don't have at
yeah.
home, and they're like, "Ooh."
Well, do you remember JR when they were selling the house, and I showed the family round? They had a youngster,
Oh, that's right.
and there was a little truck
Yes.
that you could sit on and ride,
Yes.
and the kid loved it and wanted to go on it,
Now, see, this is
but
one of
then
my
cried
favorite
his
stories.
eyes out.
This is one of my favorite
Yeah.
stories. Though.
Cried his eyes out when I had to put it back in the garage because it wasn't his.
Yeah.
And when we told JR...
No, wait. So first of all, there were 5 offers on that property.
Yeah.
And you wrote one of them, but I didn't. But the customer did not know it was you, even though the
No.
customer knew you and they knew one
we
of them
always
was yours.
keep that
Right.
separate.
We wanted to keep it completely fair housing laws and all of that. They did not know it was you. They did not know anything. They looked at the 5 different offers. We had it on like a spreadsheet so they could see it that way. And they ended up picking the offer that you wrote because it was the best offer. And no help from me on that. I'll just make sure you guys are aware of that. I don't help him out at all. I don't care. As long as I sell the house at the price that the seller wants, then I'm good.
as long as it's the best deal for the customer.
Exactly. Now this is
Yeah.
like 3 years ago when prices when houses weren't going for like 5 offers at a time. But we do that actually quite frequently. We've been doing it
Yeah.
for about 3-4 years now. But they had 5 offers. They picked your person, and so then we told them the story
Yeah.
about this little kid. And what did they do?
He went out and bought him the same truck.
He didn't buy him the same truck.
JR did.
No, he didn't.
What did he do?
He left the truck.
Oh, I know. He bought a brand new one.
Oh,
for
he
him.
did? I thought he left the
no,
one they had.
because that was because his child still wanted that one. He went out and
I
bought
thought
a brand.
I thought he was going to just replace it when they got to the new
he
place
bought a
because they were
brand-
moving out of the area.
He
so.
bought a brand new one for the child.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, well, I didn't remember that. I thought he just left it.
No.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yep.
Now, see, that's the kind of transactions we love.
Yeah.
Little kid, no patience. But all the parents had patience.
Yes.
All the agents had patience. And it doesn't matter whether I'm working with you on a transaction where you've got the buyer and I've got the seller, or whether it's another agent who has the buyer. And you're the same. You don't care if it's my listing or someone else's listing.
Nope.
There are a number of agents in this area. I mean, I can name like Carolyn we love to do transactions with, Denise we love to do transactions with,
Yeah.
Amy we love to do transactions
Maria.
like Maria. I mean, like, there's all sorts of
Yeah.
agents in this area that we love to do transactions with because they all Rich love to do. I've only done in my almost 10 years, I've only done one with Rich, and he's one of my favorite people. So and one of my favorite agents. I guess our people just don't cross over that much. That's what
No.
it seems like. It's kind of odd because we both work at a similar price point. So it's kind of interesting. But the one I did have with him, loved it. It was really great. And so there are lots of other agents that we love working with. And it does boil down to, a lot of it has to boil down to whether they are somebody who has the patience and the fortitude. And it does take some steel, because when there are, like this spring, when people were writing crazy, silly, ridiculous offers. And
Yep.
here's the thing, those crazy, silly, ridiculous offers weren't meeting appraisal for the most part. I mean, the properties I listed did, but most of them were not meeting appraisal, correct?
No.
So,
So
so did you have something that somebody said? Is somebody
no,
talking?
no one.
Oh, I thought you were typing something to someone. Um, so when people then when people have the patience, that's great. Let me get back on track here. So we love working with other agents that have patience.
Mm-hmm.
We love working with each other when we're patient with each other. That doesn't always happen.
No,
That's the other patience.
we're not always patient.
How transparent should we be? You want to be really transparent?
Of course.
We had a fight today, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
He's terrible. And you were not very patient with what I was trying to tell you, were you?
No,
Exactly.
I'm not always patient.
No. And it is funny because out of the two of us, you would think that me, because I am so like hardline, out of the two of us, honestly, who's the most patient?
Me. Because I'm so chill.
When it comes to transactions, who's most patient?
Probably.
When it comes to dealing with life in general, who keeps their
I'm
calm?
like a duck. I look chill, and my feet are going like that underneath the water. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a duck. Absolutely. I would 100% agree. Your feet are flapping at 100 miles an hour sometimes, and nobody sees it because your feathers are unruffled, but doesn't mean that you're...
But I'm chasing things up and trying to
Go ahead, justify your
pull
lack
a
of
rabbit
patience.
out of a hat sometimes.
Well, so am I, though.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
we both do that. Every single agent that's good at their job actually has to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you are pulling something out of nothing, and that's, hard.
Yeah,
But
how
what
many times have we had transactions that you think are falling apart, they're going
Oh
nowhere?
my goodness. This year, it feels like I've had so many
Yeah.
that were falling apart, then they came back to life, then they're falling apart, then they come back to life, then they fall apart. It's like, it's just been crazy. I will say this. I have never had a year, generally speaking, when I get an accepted offer for my seller on a property, it's pretty smooth sailing. We do this, then we do this, then we do this, then we do, like, we go through everything and we're good. But this year, it has been nothing to do with us. It's been always to do with the other side.
Or, yeah.
It's not always the buyers.
The other side or
it's
the
not
lender.
always the buyers. Sometimes it's the lender.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the other agent.
Yeah.
And those agents remain
And
nameless.
we've even had lenders that have promised us that
don't
we're
even-
going to close and things like that. And
Don't even go there.
you
I
know,
had that one
we
this year
hang
that-
on and hang
I
on.
had
We're
that
very
one-
patient.
I had that one that I was super patient, and so was my customer.
Yep.
And he was lying to us flat out.
Yeah.
We had no idea he was, but he just lied. Thankfully, I did something to protect my seller and got her the earnest money. Basically said, if you don't close this next time, like, we gave him an extension. If they didn't, we told him, if you don't close, earnest money goes to my seller. End of. That's it.
Yeah.
For being patient enough to hang on.
Mm-hmm.
And it did, because it didn't close. There was no way it was going to close.
No.
We just didn't know that. We didn't know he was lying to us. I don't think the other agent knew he was lying to us.
And even
either.
at the end, he was still promising, give me an extra couple of weeks, and we'll close this.
Yeah.
And it was like,
How? You have no down payment and you have no closing costs. That's what we found out.
Yeah.
We found out there was no down payment and there was no closing costs. So how they thought they were going to buy
And
a
the
house.
buyer didn't have any money to do either.
But the buyer was being deceived by the lender, because the
Yes.
lender told him, "Oh, I can layer another loan on top of this," which you can't do. It's illegal. But
Yeah.
hey ho. So sometimes
yeah.
patience can come back to bite you, but that's why it's really important when we're being patient or we're asking our customers to be patient. We also try to put protections in place.
Yes.
So that their patience is rewarded one way or the other, either with a closed transaction or with some damages awarded to them immediately.
Yep.
So anyway, guys, I think we've talked enough about patience tonight. You've been patient enough with us. And if you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Even if it's a hashtag replay, like we had some last week that were hashtag replay.
Yeah, we did have a few last week.
Yeah. So we did answer those
was good.
questions and those comments. So even if it's a hashtag replay, go ahead and drop it in the chat and we will respond to it. And thanks so much for joining us. If you do have anything you want to find out, I'm going to throw up our details here right at the end so that you guys can see it. And I think that's about it, isn't it? Isn't that it, Russ?
Yeah.
All right. That's it. Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.
Have
And
a great one.
any questions? Go ahead and contact us, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.